Is work feeling a bit meh for you right now? We've actually been hearing this a lot, and I want to give you some questions to ask yourself and some strategies to get to the other side of that. Because while meh is not terrible, oh my God, get me out of this right now, it's still not ideal. We want work to feel, hell yes, we want work to feel like play. We want work to feel like one of the best things in your life. So I'm going to give you some actionable strategies, some actionable questions to ask yourself so that you can go from meh to wee with your work. Stay tuned. We've all experienced it. The work that you're doing, your day-to-day is like, it's not terrible, god-awful. And almost in some ways, it would be better if it was terrible or god-awful, because then it's like, okay, I got something clearly needs to shift here, right? But when it's like, meh, it's hard to know what to do, and it's hard to know where that's coming from. It's hard to know how to move forward. We can often get stuck there. So, where do you even begin? So let me start by defining what that meh feeling is so that you can identify for yourself if you're there. So some of you already know that, right? Like you read the title of the podcast and you're like, yep, that's me. Or perhaps this was you at some point in your career. I think we can all relate to this. We've all been there. Or you may be like, I'm not feeling that now. I felt it before and I don't want to feel it again. How can I prevent that? So in any of these cases, which is my guess is 99% of you who are listening, in other words, pay close attention. You're going to get value out of this. So how does this meh feeling show up? It's, one of our clients asked it in the way like, I feel disconnected from my work outcomes. I feel like there's no juice in it anymore. Like I'm just going through the motions and I'm having my team meetings and I'm talking with people and I'm responding to Slack messages and emails. And while I'm like doing the things, there's no joy in it. There's no fulfillment in it. There's like, I'm not connected in a fun way anymore. It doesn't feel like my purpose anymore. So it could absolutely feel like that, especially if it's either newer or you're highly attuned to this feeling. Now, if you're not highly attuned to this feeling or it's not newer, so in other words, this is something that's a habit for you. Like life is just meh. So work is meh. And it's just a habit. And so when something becomes habitual, it can be harder to notice it because it's normal. It's normalized. It's kind of like asking the fish, look at the water around you. What water? Like this is just how I live, right? And so for some of you, I want you to meet yourself where you're at because I don't want you to stay in the mediocre. I don't want you to stay in the just okay. The way that one of our clients put it is, one of the reasons that I hired you guys is because I am sick and tired of things just being okay. She was sick and tired of that. Like people would ask, how is work going? It's okay. And I would, you know what? I'm going to bet that she may have said sometimes, meh, okay. And she noticed that she kept saying that over and over and over again. She's like, you know what? I'm not going to stand for that anymore. So and I know that some of you are there, but if you're at a place where you're like, am I the fish that's in the water but doesn't realize that I'm in the water? I mean, also the frog in the boiling water thing, right? Like The water just keeps going up by 1 degree every day, but you don't notice it because it's so normalized. So how you would notice if that's you, it may not be showing up as so obviously like, oh my God, yeah, I'm so disconnected from my work. It may feel like it's a lack of joy. It's a lack of fulfillment. It's a lack of fun. So you can ask yourself questions like, does work feel like fun most of the time? No, because look, there's going to be a percentage of the time when work feels like, okay, I got to do this thing. It's required. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I'm going to do it because I actually have a connection with the outcome. And I know that if I do this thing, we're going to get the outcome, right? So that's going to happen maybe 10 to 15% of the time. But like 85 to 90% of the time, it's, yeah, work is fun. Work feels like play. Does work feel like play to you most of the time? Does your work feel like playing your favorite game? Think about your favorite game. Maybe it's a video game. Maybe it's a board game, a card game. Maybe it's a sport. It's not always easy. Play isn't easy. It's not meant to be easy. It's why it's fun. Because it's too easy, it's not fulfilling. And we're doing it for the fulfillment. We're doing it for the satisfaction of doing the thing that we previously thought that we couldn't. That's where the fulfillment and the joy comes from. So, does your work on most days, most of the time, feel like playing your favorite game? If it doesn't, then you're stuck in meh. So the other category of people that I want to talk to are people where if you feel like you're burnt out or on the edge of burnout, you're so stressed out, you don't even know. Like, is it that work is meh? Is it that work doesn't feel like play because it's the work? Or is it because I'm so burnt out? So first you have to work on the burnout. You have to get to a place where you're no longer burnt out, no longer on the edge of burnt out. You got to get back to a place of flow and of regulation, of emotional regulation, of cognitive regulation, of feeling more in control, of having more agency and even having a bit more gratitude for what's happening right now. And so if that's you, I highly encourage you to get help with that because you're the fish in the water. You're absolutely the fish in the water. You need someone on the outside of it to help guide you from a place of overwhelm to a place of flow and regulation. So that is something that we help our clients with. The other thing that I would say is we are not therapists. We're not trained as trauma therapists, psychotherapists, or even any kind of therapist. So if that's the kind of help that you think you need, then you probably do need it, and I would encourage you to do that. But if it's something that you're already getting help with, or you don't believe that that's actually the help that you need, that it's really more about shifting your mindset, shifting your perspectives, and having a proven strategy to transform your career, and that's what we help our clients with. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, work on that first. So now, let's say you're in a place where it's like, yeah, I'm feeling meh, or I don't want to feel meh ever again. How do I get out of it? How do I begin to shift it? And often the question, like if you play this tape to the end, I'm going to play it to the end for you. I'm going to fast forward for you. The question often becomes, do I stay or do I go? Do I stay at my current job or do I leave? Because if it is meh, then if I'm not fulfilled by my job and I'm not connected to the outcomes and the purpose of my work, then perhaps it's time to leave because it's not the right environment for me. I am no longer connected to the mission of the company that I work for. I'm no longer on board with what the higher ups, with what the CTO, with what the CEO, with the decisions that they're making. I don't like them. Like at my core. Like you can disagree, and actually disagreement is great. Like especially at the higher levels, and most of you are higher level tech leaders, nobody wants to work for yes women or yes men. You absolutely can disagree. But if at the core of it, like, this is not a mission I can get behind anymore, we've actually been hearing a lot of this from clients. There's a lot of this going on right now where clients are like, this job was good until it wasn't. Like shifts are happening at work and it's feeling unfulfilling because I no longer agree with the fundamental shifts and the fundamental changes that the higher ups are wanting to make or are already making. They no longer align with my values. So if that's the case, then it's time to have a heart-to-heart with me, myself, and I. It's time to do the inner work to decide, is it time to stay or is it time to go? And this is where you really have to tap into your intuition. Now, we've done a ton of podcasts on tapping into your intuition. And this is something that we help our clients with as well. Your intuition will tell you whether it's time to go, not your brain. You cannot think yourself out of this problem. I'm going to say that again, because this is perhaps like the biggest distinction that I hope you get from this podcast. So if your question is, I'm feeling meh about my career, about my work, what do I do? Your intuition has the answer, not your brain. This is not something that you think about. This is something that you feel into. This is about, how am I feeling? And what is my inner guidance telling me to do? This is not about making pro and con lists. Pros of staying, pros of leaving. Cons of staying, cons of leaving. That is not ultimately going to be helpful to you. And in order to access your intuition, you cannot be overwhelmed. So that's why you need to deal with the overwhelm. In order to access your intuition, when I call it intuition, if I were to answer that more from the physiological/psychological standpoint, it is what is your body / what is your, it's what is your subconscious telling you? And it's the subconscious, it's the empowered subconscious. It's the part of you that knows you've got this no matter what you decide. It's like tapping into that inner superhero, that guidance. So you're accessing your brain a little bit. So like you're accessing that power of pattern recognition and decision making, but you're also really feeling into the emotional aspect. And where do we feel our emotions? In our body. So what is my body telling me? What is my intuition telling me? It's not the disempowered emotions. It's not the anger. It's not the fear. It's not the guilt. It's not the sadness or the disgust or the shame or the worry. It's what is joy telling me? What is gratitude telling me? What is fulfillment telling me? What is delight telling me? When I access those emotions, and you can learn how to do that, I'm going to access that emotional state of power, of gratitude, of certainty, of safety. And when I access that emotional state, what's the answer? And you may get an answer right away. It's time to leave, or it's time to stay. Or maybe, it's not time to answer yet. There's a bit more information, there's a bit more living, there's a bit more experience I get to have before I can answer that question. What is that experience? And then that'll tell you what the next action is. For some of you, it's a conversation with your boss. For some of you, it's a conversation with your husband or your wife. For some of you, it's a conversation with your team. For some of you, it's a conversation with God, a conversation with infinite intelligence. So this is where we can tap into the spiritual side of it. For those of you who want to go there, I encourage you to. Your intuition is the portal to God. It's the portal to infinite intelligence. It's the portal to the energy that creates worlds. This energy created the rings on Saturn. Of course, it can help you figure out whether or not you should leave your job or how you get unstuck from meh and go to WHEEEE. Yay, awesome, delightful. And in order to do this, You have to be able to access this state of gratitude and joy and power and certainty. You got to be able to do that first. And again, this is something that we work a lot with our clients. And some of you have to start there. You got to slow down and just learn to emotionally regulate and learn to relax and learn to slow down. Some of you have to slow down. You're all up in your head, and it's like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm in this thought loop. Thinking will not solve this problem. This is big stuff we're talking about. This is your career. This is the work that you do. This is how you spend a large portion of your days. It's important. It's that important. It's so important. Do not rely on your brain for it. So you've got to be able to tap into your intuition. That's really the key here. And for some of you, it's going to happen right away because you're so emotionally regulated. You're able to, your emotional home is gratitude and joy, even though sometimes you take a day trip to fear and scarcity. And you just needed this reminder to like, all right, cool. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm also going to take a nap, take a walk, take a bath, do whatever I need to slow down. And I'm going to remember that I know what to do. The divine within will show me. My superhero within will tell me what to do. And that's what you do. That's what you do. And if you're not able to access that, then learn how to do it. And again, this is something that we help clients with. It's a journey. It is a journey. All of life is a journey. And I also say it because it's not going to happen overnight, but it can certainly happen in a matter of days or weeks for some of you, depending on where you're at. So how do you go from meh to feeling delightful? It's all about how you're feeling, my friends. It's all about how you're feeling. And that guidance will come to you through your brain, yes, through your intuition, yes, and if you're open to it, through infinite intelligence through the universe and through other people as well. That guidance is there for you. And speaking of guidance, if you are curious about working together and you would like our guidance in helping you to transform your career, to be able to have a career as a technical leader where it's all about the, this is amazing. And then like, okay, there's challenges, but I rise up to them and I see them as gifts. And you are so fulfilled and you never thought it would be possible. And you would want to find out if we can help you do that. The best way to do that is to book a call with my team. thepeoplestack.com/book. thepeoplestack.com/BOOK. Go to that link and pick a time that works for you. And and then that call is going to be on your calendar. It's going to be on my team's calendar. And then you're going to have an audio only Zoom call for 60 minutes. And we're going to figure out whether it's a fit to work together. And even if it's not, you're still going to get immense value and clarity out of that call. Because in order to figure out whether it's a fit, we go deep. Like, we want to work with clients who inspire us. And I know that you want a coach who inspires you. And the only way to do that is to have a deep conversation. So thepeoplestack.com/book is the way to find out if it's a fit to work together. I don't want you stuck in the meh. It's not a fun place to stay. And so do whatever it takes to access gratitude, to access that sense of agency where you get to choose how you're feeling. Access delight. What are the things in life that most delight you? And start there. And then you can start figuring out, all right, is my work delightful? And you're totally going to get that answer, because if you're living in delight, but then you go to work and it's like, then yeah, the work environment is the problem and it's time to leave. But then if you start living in, the other way that this works is if you start living in delight and like doing the things that delight you more often, and then you go to work and guess what happens? You're more delighted. So it's just that you weren't accessing delight enough. So that's the path. That's the path. Access delight. Access gratitude, access joy, access fulfillment in areas outside of work. And then you will get the information, the data, the guidance that you need to decide whether it is time to stay or whether it is time to leave. And that's really what it comes down to. And for a lot of you, that's the question that you're scared of asking. You're stuck in meh because you're scared of asking yourself, is it time to leave? Go there. For some of you, it's a scary question. I get it. You got to ask yourself the scary questions, because living a fulfilled life, living a wonderful, fulfilled, prosperous life means always playing with your comfort zone. Your greatest achievements live just outside your comfort zone. Not so far outside that it totally debilitates you. Just outside your comfort zone. So you got to ask yourself the hard questions. Like, just as a recap, is it time for me to leave this job? Does my work most of the time feel like playing my favorite game? Am I delighted with the work that I'm doing? Am I overwhelmed? And is that the problem? Am I burnt out? And is that the problem? These are all important questions to ask yourself. And then the answers will come with time. If you need help getting those answers and need support, like I said, reach out. We're here for you. All right, guys, enjoy your weekend. It's a Friday as I'm recording this. So enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week, enjoy your time here on this earth, on this planet, in your job, regardless of where you are. Find the delight. Take care and take it easy.